This may not be what you think it's going to be. Here's my response. Go to that closet. You know the one where you have hats hanging that you haven't worn in years, and crafts that you're never going to finish, and clothes that you're holding on to just in case. Clean it out. And then go wherever you have to go. It doesn't matter. Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walmart, whatever. No judgment. Go get canned goods. Go get bottled water. Get some water straws. Get a bathtub bladder. Get small bills. Get a way to protect yourself. Then find 10, 20 people, whatever you need to create community, and buy a dehydrator. And then 20, 30 people to buy a freeze-dry machine, whatever you need. Start building community. Because having the food that you need is a form of resistance. It's not just protection, it's a form of resistance. Think of it as insurance. This is not us overreacting. This is not us panicking. This is us preparing and talking to each other. Because we cannot rely on our leaders to do the right thing for its citizens. They are making very clear that they plan to be the world's bullies and offer their citizens nothing. There's an insidiousness to what's happening. And if you're paying attention, it has nothing to do with reconciling a budget and everything to do with creating a classist system that ensures that we are desperate and holding our hands out for crumbs. But when we prepare, we are empowered. And the way we are empowered is by creating community. That's just the start. No different than life insurance. And you may wonder why a minister cares about that, because I believe that spirituality is contingent upon how I show up in the world. The last thing you need me to do is be praying for you and your salvation. No, that's religious patriarchy that deflects from the pain and suffering of the world, and I refuse to take my eyes off of it, because that's what they want. They want us to be fearful and paralyzed so we don't move. We're just waiting for their next action, but we can't wait anymore. Beautiful souls. Clean out the closet. Go buy the food. Get the beans and rice. Get the cash. And protect yourself. There's many more ideas floating, but that's my response to that meeting.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you're not doing fine, please do fine where you are. So you've heard probably today that Trump and his best friend Zelensky have just brushed their shoulders. You know, I told you the other time in another video about the heated debate, not really a debate, but it was kind of debate in an interview. So we can call it an interview debate. We find Zelensky being rude to Trump, and Trump showing Zelensky who Trump really is. You know, he's forgetting what Americans called FAFO, F around and find out. So he effed around, and Zelensky found out, you know. So Americans are out here, they are showing their distress, some are showing their happiness, some are saying Trump is right, some are saying Trump is wrong. But myself, I'm going to give you my opinion after watching these videos, because I think that Zelensky ought to know better. You know, he ought to understand that it is the United States of America that has been helping his country to combat the distress that is being caused by Russia and Putin. We understand that they are having some brushing of shoulders together, you know. So him saying, or rather him demanding of Trump to become an enemy or to put some kind of ultimatums on Russia is making United States a direct enemy to Russia, which they don't really fight one another. The countries which are fighting is Ukraine and Russia. And Trump is saying, don't bring me to your problems. Deal with your own problems, your own self. So it's just a mixed reaction. I want us to watch this. I shall get back.
As an American, what we just witnessed on TV is disgusting. Donald Trump put Zelensky on national television, worldwide television, to just berate him and shame him for the entire world. This is incredibly messed up. You don't do this to a single person. In less than 5 minutes, that conversation went from a normal conversation to them talking about his clothes, to the downfall to you need to be grateful. You would have lost. You're losing now. Unbelievable. For J.D. Vance to just jump in and say, just say thank you, when Zelensky has thanked the American people almost every single day. And then the most disgusting thing is, after it was all done, Donald Trump looked at everyone and says, well, this is going to make some great television. I don't know what got into J.D. Vance's head or Donald Trump's head when it came to this meeting. It was almost like before Zelensky even showed up, they already had in their mind what was going to go on and that they were just going to bully Ukraine around. This was embarrassing and disgusting, and I'm shameful to be an American after watching that kind of interaction. Because you know for a fact that Donald Trump's team, his envoy to Russia, did not do this to Putin. And you know for a fact that Trump would not do this to Putin. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please share my videos and follow me for more.
Trump basically told Zelensky in this meeting that you do not hold the cards in these negotiations. You are not entitled to sit here with your arms crossed and demand things from the United States. And this picture in this meeting encapsulate the U.S.'s relationship not only with Ukraine, but with our European allies at large. Finally, America is demanding to know what is in it for us. Are we actually going to get a return on our investments here? Does this involvement make sense for the United States? And you've got Europe feeling this sense of betrayal, and they feel like they're entitled to that U.S. involvement, and they're entitled to have the United States be taxed to death so that American taxpayers can fund Europe. And these two are no longer allowing that. We are demanding to know what is the return on our investment. We're demanding that American involvement makes sense for the United States, for the benefit of the United States, instead of just by default funding the entire world. And so I'm so glad that we finally have these two in office demanding the accountability that we've been lacking in American leadership for so many years.
Look at the Ukrainian ambassador who was in the meeting. There was a point where she had her head in her hands and she looked like she was on the verge of tears, which is completely understandable because everything that they had hoped for from this meeting, that there would be this mineral deal, there would be the possibility that the Americans, that Trump would not side completely with Vladimir Putin, but would come back towards Zelensky. All gone.
Especially after what was said yesterday in the same office between Prime Minister Starmer and the President. Where does this lead the very, the different and now shattered shards of the peace process, if you can even call it that?
There is no peace process. What there is President Trump talking to his friend Vladimir Putin and trying to work out how to stop the fighting. Now, the issue is that the Ukrainians will not stop fighting. Even if there is a peace deal agreed between America and Ukraine, in which the Europeans may or may not have a role, that will not stop Ukrainians from fighting to get Russians out of their land. That does not mean that Russia can control Ukraine, because what we know is that although President Trump thinks this is about real estate, a bit of land that could be on this side of the border or that side of the border, that is not what it's about for President Putin.
He doesn't get it, does he?
For President Putin, it's about total control of Ukraine and Ukrainians.
I have never in my life heard anything remotely close to what we have just witnessed. We have just witnessed history. We have just witnessed something that is closer to Jerry Springer over war on the European continent. I'm honestly speechless. There's a press conference between Zelensky and Trump going to happen later. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if someone's going to emerge with a black eye. Zelensky looked like he was going to cry at points during that.
Press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on over there. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
This may not be what you think it's going to be. Here's my response. Go to that closet. You know the one where you have hats hanging that you haven't worn in years, and crafts that you're never going to finish, and clothes that you're holding on to just in case. Clean it out. And then go wherever you have to go. It doesn't matter. Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walmart, whatever. No judgment. Go get canned goods. Go get bottled water. Get some water straws. Get a bathtub bladder. Get small bills. Get a way to protect yourself. Then find 10, 20 people, whatever you need to create community, and buy a dehydrator. And then 20, 30 people to buy a freeze-dry machine, whatever you need. Start building community. Because having the food that you need is a form of resistance. It's not just protection, it's a form of resistance. Think of it as insurance. This is not us overreacting. This is not us panicking. This is us preparing and talking to each other. Because we cannot rely on our leaders to do the right thing for its citizens. They are making very clear that they plan to be the world's bullies and offer their citizens nothing. There's an insidiousness to what's happening. And if you're paying attention, it has nothing to do with reconciling a budget and everything to do with creating a classist system that ensures that we are desperate and holding our hands out for crumbs. But when we prepare, we are empowered. And the way we are empowered is by creating community. That's just the start. No different than life insurance. And you may wonder why a minister cares about that, because I believe that spirituality is contingent upon how I show up in the world. The last thing you need me to do is be praying for you and your salvation. No, that's religious patriarchy that deflects from the pain and suffering of the world, and I refuse to take my eyes off of it, because that's what they want. They want us to be fearful and paralyzed so we don't move. We're just waiting for their next action, but we can't wait anymore. Beautiful souls. Clean out the closet. Go buy the food. Get the beans and rice. Get the cash. And protect yourself. There's many more ideas floating, but that's my response to that meeting.
I can't believe how Vance and Trump just talked to Zelensky. I'll do a fuller video on it later, but that was not on. That was dark, that was nasty, that was ganging up on him, that was shouting him down, and a lot of people across Europe are going to be outraged by that, and I'm sure lots of Americans are going to feel deeply embarrassed by their president and vice president's behaviour. I've got to go now, I'll do more on it later, but that really boils my blood.
This is pretty real-time reaction. In fact, I'm not sure I'm going to post this, but this is a pretty real-time reaction to the press conference that Zelensky and Trump just had. So I've been thinking to myself for the last few weeks, what's the right response? And an ancient word keeps coming back to me, and that is the word lament. What we witnessed there, and you can be 1,000% policy-wise on Trump's side, but what we witnessed there indisputably was horrible leadership. I've said this before on my channel, as someone who studies and operates in the realm of leadership as for the most part of my career, that leadership begins before you step into the work that you have to do. In other words, you have to prepare yourself as a person. And many traditions of different kinds, all across the globe, actually, East and West, have traditions around what makes good leadership. And almost all of them center on some sense of virtue. So you can think about Jesus and looking at what is now a Judeo-Christian understanding of leadership, and you can think about the East and Confucius. There's Japanese wisdom literature that talks about this as well, The Art of War. It all centers in on the ability of a leader to exemplify virtues, and chief among these is self-knowledge and self-control. It's shocking to see the degree of lack of self-control that was evidenced by both J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Speaking over a foreign leader, I don't care who that leader is, not being able to hold your words, not being able to contain your emotion, not being able to demonstrate respect even while disagreeing. These are basic attributes that almost any leader should have according to these ancient traditions. And in this case, there's of course the backdrop, the very real and devastating backdrop that Zelensky comes from a country that is in existential crisis. Real people are fighting and dying each and every day. And then you have Trump and Vance sort of living out of their cushy existence and their resentments their feeling of victimization by this war-torn country. So it's embarrassing, to say the least. And so what's the right reaction, right? And I mentioned the word lamentations. So I'm a Christian. Not one of those Christians that obviously aligns with Trump and Vance, but a Christian that aligns with following this guy named Jesus, who was a very different kind of leader. And the Judeo-Christian tradition says that in moments like this, when your leaders are out of control and when justice is not present in your land, one of the first reactions is lament. It's a form of grieving. It's a form of not just like being sad about something, but it's also a form of calling out that which you're grieving for, the loss that has happened. It's sort of basically identifying the reality of what has happened. And that is my reaction to seeing this. It's lament. I never thought in my life that I would see something like this from the Oval Office. It's a lament of the decay of the institution. It's a lament at the decay in civility and the decay in values and virtues that I thought we as a people could project through our leaders, but no longer are able to. Now, lament doesn't mean you sit there and do nothing or stay paralyzed, but it is a step towards becoming unparalyzed, because you have to grieve that which you have lost in order to find a new path forward. So Lamentations was also, in a sense, prophetic. It was a call to acknowledge that which has been lost so that you can begin to find a new path forward as a nation. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you that that is where I am at. And I need to give myself space to lament, to call out that which has been lost, and to identify that which is real right now, which is that those who are in power over us and who are dictating our systems of living here in the United States have no virtue. They have lost their way. That is lamentable.
Wow, did you see that meeting with Zelensky today in the Oval Office? Oh my goodness.
Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break it with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
I hope that Vladimir Zelensky has some ice for his butt and he flies back, because you don't get an ass kicking like that very often. He's going to be bruised for days. You know, it started off badly when Zelensky got out of the limo and Donald Trump said, "Oh, look, you got dressed up." And then he went to the Oval Office. You're in the presence of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States, not a dementia-addled pudding for brains puppet like has been the last 4 years. The office demands respect. Donald Trump demands respect. He went through hell to get to that office, and he represents us. And we deserve respect. Mr. Zelensky, think about what you did. You're not in a position to demand anything, and you thought you were the last time you were here, but a new sheriff is town, baby. A new sheriff is in town. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump.
Trump is correct. He's not correct on lots of things, but he's very correct on this. You go to the mayor of Kyiv, Klitschko, the former boxer. He himself was the one who first said that Zelensky is no better than Putin. He's basically a dictator. That's what he's saying. And What I find most egregious is the fact that Western media have painted a picture and done perfect PR for Zelensky from day one. The guy is the president. Why is he walking around doing TV shows in army fatigues as if he's the army general, as if he's out on the front line? He's not. It's all been perfect PR. Going on Vogue magazine, going around to our parliament and doing speeches where he quotes Churchill. He knows exactly what he's been doing, and the West have played into that. Trump is the only person who's going to end this war.
So that was Zelensky. And that was Putin, and you just heard that Putin, not Putin, but Trump. I don't know why Putin is in my mouth. I guess it's because I'm an African. You know, Africans, we love Putin. We prefer Putin over the two. Trump and Zelensky, we prefer Putin. So Trump and Zelensky, you know, Trump just kicked him out, and Trump thinks Zelensky is disrespectful to him. Trump thinks Zelensky is not ready for a peace talk. And you just heard that he kicked him out as well. And what do you think about it? Do you think it is okay for head of state to be treated that way? Or do you think he called for it? Is it something which is happening because he made it happen? I don't know what you'll think about this, but I'm going to share with you my opinion. The situation that is happening in the United States of American government is a situation that was created by the previous authority, the previous government, which was the Biden administration. Because this guy cannot just leave Ukraine, come here and demand things, be respectful, be disrespectful. It has to be that the previous government allowed him to be so, you know, allowed him to be disrespectful and all that. But now it's a new administration, and he should be clever enough to understand this is a new administration. I need to change my mind on things. I need to be respectful, you know, because USA does not belong to Biden, never belonged to him. It doesn't belong to Trump, you know. These people are just representatives. And, you know, the world takes USA as the world police, you know. It's always around trying to create peace and all that. And now, if someone is trying to disrespect you, you feel like they feel like they're going to lose that essence of being a world police, you know. So I understand what happens, even though I think Trump should have chosen a different path to solving this problem. Which also reminds me of something that was said by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu said that if you want peace, you're gonna prepare for war. Just prepare for it, because you can't say you want peace and you can't anticipate for a war. Yes. I don't know what your thought is about this situation that happened. I think Zelensky called for it, you know, but at the first time, Putin was okay. The US government, people are showing mixed reaction here and there. What is your reaction towards this situation? Share your thoughts on the comment section. We want to listen to you. We want to further this discussion. Let's continue.